Hey everyone, this is Via from Via Creates and welcome to this video. I'm so excited that you guys are watching this video because this is a subject that is super important to me, and that is planning for a new semester. So every semester before it begins, and usually also into the first couple days into it, I go through and I just kind of plan out everything that I need to do for that semester. It actually takes quite a few days, but it's totally worth it in the end to be able to have everything already organized so that I don't have to worry about it as I'm actually going through exams and quizzes and everything that happens during the semester. I have quite a few different things that I do, so I have sectioned off this video. So if you want to skip to different parts, just click on the description of which section you'd like to get to. But let's get started with color coding. Not everyone finds color coding helpful, but for me it is the most important thing that I do each year when I start a new semester. So I always just go to the notes section of my planner and I put my color code there because I always have my planner with me and that's probably where I use it the most. So not only do I have a color for each one of the classes that I'm taking, but I also add the color code for other things like general school, chores, appointments, and things like that. So once I finalize the color that I'm going to use for each class, that's when I get my supplies that I'm going to need, like folders and notebooks in that color if I don't already have those colors, as well as I choose the colors for my Canvas page because you can go in and customize each of your class colors, and that way everything is consistent over everything and I'm just really quickly able to identify that color as belonging to that class. This makes it so much easier when I'm planning things or trying to determine how much work I have to do for each class from a list of tasks that I do. If I write down each task in the color of the class, it just kind of gives you a really good visual on how much time I'm really going to need to spend on that class versus other classes, and that's probably the best way for me to prioritize my work. The first thing that I do when I get all of my syllabi is to create a master Google spreadsheet of every single assignment, due date, test, and lecture topic that I'm going to have for the entire semester. And it does take quite a few days at first, but I'm already into my first week of school and it has helped me so much because I'm just the type of person who likes to have one place where everything is, and I use that to draw from when I'm making my daily to-do lists or weekly schedules. The reason why I always start out by putting it on a Google spreadsheet versus in a planner is because I particularly use a paper planner, and as everybody knows, college professors don't always keep their due dates the same as what is in the syllabus, and sometimes you just have a professor who likes to keep things more flexible, and sometimes you have years where there's just unusual events that happen and your professor has to switch things up. So if you do it in a Google spreadsheet or some sort of similar form, you're able to really easily go in and change it without having to cross things out if you've written in pen or mess up the formatting of something else. So the first thing that I did this year, which I haven't done before, is I actually created a master spreadsheet where I put down each date for every single class on one of the pages. And I've already been using this for a week and I found it really helpful. So on the first page, I color coded by class. So I go through the syllabus and I put down every single thing that is due for that class, and then I copy it and paste it onto another page in the spreadsheet that's specifically for that class. For each individual class page, I organize that by week, so each week is a different color. And on each of the pages, I put a color code just so that I know what's going on. But I like doing it this way because I like seeing what each week looks like. Obviously, if there's a week that's longer, it's super easy to see that there's going to be a lot more assignments or exams that week. One of the best parts about using Google Spreadsheets is that it's really easy to add checkboxes next to each task that you have to do. So in order to do that, you highlight the row that you want to add them to, which I just do always to the left side of each task, and then you go to insert, and at the very bottom of that there will say insert checkboxes. So you add the checkboxes, and I always just change the color to make them match the font, and that's all that you need to do. It looks really nice and it's super easy to see your progress that you made and easy to keep track of where you are within the week if you have the checkboxes there. To organize everything by date on my master schedule, I first put in everything for all of my classes and I code each class by the color that I assigned them earlier. And then once I'm done with that, I just highlighted the row that had all of the dates and I went to the data tab on Google Sheets and I hit organize row C, A to Z, and that way it put it automatically in order by date for me, which made it so much easier when I was putting in dates because I didn't have to go in individually and do that manually. I did the same thing for the individual class pages, but I usually did that earlier since there's a lot less information that I needed. And once I had everything organized by date on that, I was able to color code it by week very easily as well. Once I finally finished the process of putting in all of these dates and organizing it by class and also on the full schedule, it was time to move on to part 3 of my planning. This is another thing that I like to do that is just another big picture thing that helps me get a gauge on what my semester as a whole is going to look like. And that is using a semester at a glance planner to write down all of my big exams, papers, and other major assignments that are due throughout the semester. Now, usually I find these on my school's website, however this year I could not find one, so I actually made my own, and I made a few different types, which I have linked down in the description in a Google Drive file if you are interested. So my favorite thing about this is that I can put it on my wall and literally see what each week is going to look like in terms of big assignments and exams that I'm going to need to work on. So this helps me to organize my studying, helps me to see which weeks are a lot more calm that I can use to go home to visit my family or to do fun stuff with my friends, and which weeks I'm going to really need to prepare for in advance if I have certain weeks with lots of exams. The first thing that I do when I print mine out is I just use a highlighter to highlight all the days that I have off because that is the most exciting part of the semester, to be honest, and so I like to see those really nice and clearly. After I finish highlighting my days off, I then go back to my Google spreadsheet and go class by class using the color for that class and start filling it out. I really do try to keep from putting small little things like homework assignments or when I should have chapters read by on this particular planner, just so that I can keep it really clean and easy to see those really busy weeks where I just have a lot of big things going on. I ended up getting really lucky this semester and only have one day where I have 2 exams on the same day, and most of my classes are more project-based, so everything is a lot more spread out during the semester, which is really nice to see. Since this is 2 pages, I just took some double-sided tape and put it onto the top of the second page and taped the first page to it, and that way it just looked really nice, clean, and even when I hung it up on my wall. Now that that is done, it is time to move on to the last and final part of my semester planning. Every week, I take the information that I've already compiled within the semester planner as well as in my Google spreadsheet, and I use it to make my to-do list for the week. So each week, I basically do the same thing, where at the top of my planner, I have a section for my entire week's to-do list where I write down every single task for all the classes that I am taking that week. After that, I go day by day and I write down smaller and smaller tasks. So it's a very hierarchical structure to the way that I plan. The big master planning list is on my Google Sheet. Then I have my weekly planning list at the top page of my planner, and then my daily planning list down in each daily section. This keeps me really organized, and it helps me to keep from being overwhelmed because I go from really big and large scale down into the more details as I go day by day. You don't have to do any particular type of organization to your weekly to-do list as long as all the assignments for each class are underneath the same column. What I personally like to do is I like to go by my first class that I have each week all the way down to the last class because I just like that order. And really the main things that I include in my weekly to-do list are assignments, exams, quizzes, and maybe some sort of like extra studying that I need to do. I don't go into really detailed stuff because that's more for the daily to-do list. This week I'm actually color coding it by each class. Sometimes I don't do that because sometimes I'll write a quote at the very top of my page and I use that color for all the highlighting, so it really just depends on the week. From there, I just start planning my week, and I always color code it by whatever class it is every week. That makes it super easy to see what's going on, and that's basically all that I do. I hope that this video was helpful to you, or at the very least, motivating to watch, and I hope that your semesters all go very well. Even though sometimes high school and college can be really difficult, there is always going to be those times that make it absolutely worth it. So I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.